You are.
Hello and welcome to Joanne's Cosmic Energy. I am your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, your certified holistic personal trainer, intuitive healer, cosmic energy reader, a student of astrology, master of numerology, the creator of the Chakra Balance Numerology Cosmic Energy Forecast Deck, and a mother and a wife. And as usual, I'm here to help you become and see yourself as the best version of you. Now, those of you who catch me on Sundays, this show's a little different on Wednesdays, second Wednesday of the month, as it's called the Cosmic Energy, where it's all about connecting to the cosmic energy and helping you become aware of how cosmic energy and you are connected. But before I dive into all of that, I do want to give a shout out to one or two of my sponsors who support my TV show. So I'm just going to give a big shout out to the Three Crones and the Woo Woo. You can catch us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, for all the woo woo. And I mean all the woo woo. And then we also have Nick Rafter, who is our real estate agent and our journalist. And I'm sure many of you might be looking for real estate right about now. Not really sure if it's a high time for it, if the prices are right, but whatever the case is, he's your man. So with that being said, let's dive into the cosmic energy of today. And it's so funny because as I'm thinking about it, I realized I have no idea where the moon is sitting right now. I'm going to guesstimate for that matter, that maybe the moon is sitting in Libra energy, because I do know that the moon was in Virgo energy yesterday, and I do believe yesterday was the last day of that energy. And when we think about Libra energy, the first thing that comes to mind is balance, because the Libra's image, the photo that's connected with Libra is all about that scale. Finding balance. What does that mean for you? Balance. Finding balance between your masculine and feminine energy, because we all have both. We all have a bit of masculine and a bit of feminine. And when you think about the feminine energy regarding balance, it's the intentions, how we set our intentions to connect into our goals, which is, keep that in mind. I want you to hold on to that word because that is a major word for what's coming soon. And also the intention that connects to our dreams, which is another major word, so hold on to that. And then the masculine energy of that to balance it is the action behind it. Because again, from my point of view, an intention that we set is only a thought unless it's followed by action. Otherwise, if you're just setting out a lot of intentions, but you're doing absolutely nothing to create that intention into your reality, which is the action part, you're not going to see it happen in your life. And when we think about the cosmic energy actually helps us to be in alignment to the things we're looking to create in our life. So when you can become more in tune and aware and insightful on where the moon is, what planets are connected to your personal chart, and how those planets play a huge role in regards to setting your intentions and setting action to manifest, then you have a win-win situation. So what I like to do is I have my cards here, is I'm just going to pull a card for today and just give you some insight on the chakra associated. Because what often happens for each and every one of us is we may find that we're not able to manifest the desires as quickly as we think we want them. And that could be a cause of some chakra, one, if not all of them. There's 7 primary ones that we work with. Could be blocked, sluggish, or just unbalanced altogether. And I like to say it's a real quick fix to turn around and clear that energy, assuming you have the tools to do so. And I'm going to give you one of those tools right now. So I'm shaking up the cards. Let's see what we have in store. Now, keep in mind that besides the chakra that's going to show up, you're also going to get an affirmation that you can apply and use that affirmation to help raise your vibration. When our vibrations are higher, we tend to attract the things we want. When we tend to run low in vibrations, we attract the things we don't want. So it's really important to be mindful of what it is you are thinking about. So if you are thinking happy thoughts and dancing and singing, then you're going to attract high vibration. If you are thinking shitty thoughts, excuse my expression, then you're going to attract shitty situations. So here we go. Let's see what we got going on for us for today. Interesting card as it almost smacked me in the face. See that beauty, that yellow? That yellow is a representation of your solar plexus. We all have one. It sits in our belly. You ever hear the expression, gut? I actually said this earlier to a client, and I can't remember it again, which is so funny. My gut, whatever, it will come to me later, whatever the case is. But the idea of it is that your solar plexus sits in your gut section, which is your belly. And it's like, I have this gut insight, or this gut feeling. There we go. Gut feeling. I knew it would come to me. The gut feeling of something taking place, or I just know this. That's your solar plexus. So when your solar plex is actually open and flowing, you are literally in your intuition of knowing and understanding and being in the space of connecting to the abundance and whatever it is that you're aligned to. However, when the solar plexus slightly blocked or even unbalanced, you might be feeling insecure. You may be focusing on limited beliefs, limited thoughts, feeling worried about everything, and just not trusting the process. So those are key components of knowing whether or not your solar plex is up and running. And really easy fix in reference to getting your solar plex up and flowing is allowing yourself to visualize this yellow energy, such as the sun, and seeing that sun being as bright as it can be for you. And just trusting that what's going on in your life in this very moment is going on for your most highest good. And that everything and anything you need, you already have. You may not actually be able to see it, but it's there. And it will become your reality once you step out of your own way. So it is a process, and you have to work on this day to day. It's a practice of opening up that energy. Now, a really great way to open up the solar plexus, our affirmation for the day is creativity. Creativity. How do you utilize your creativity? Whether you want to write, you want to dance, you want to sing, you want to bake, you want to draw, you want to sew, whatever it is that's going to activate your creativity is going to activate your solar plexus. So the affirmation you can use for today using that word is, I am creative. I am creative. And when you say that, I like you to really connect with your solar plexus and feel that energy of being creative. How are you creative? How does your creative juices show up in the world? And if you have not been feeling creative, that's another indication solar plex energy might be a little sluggish. So I'm inviting you to take crayons, and that's what I'm hearing, crayons and a blank paper, white piece of paper and crayons, and just drawing. Doesn't matter if you're an artist or not, just drawing, and that will start to activate the creativity and open up that solar plex energy. The number to go with for today is 66. Now, for those of you who know anything about numerology, 66 is not a master number, although it's a repeated number, it's a power number. And the difference between master and power number, master numbers carry a high vibration of mastering. Power numbers carry a different vibration, providing more power to it. But the number 6 itself carries a vibration of the healer, the healing, caretaker, home, and family. So when we take that double 6, you work out to be a 3 energy because it's a 12. And when we think about 3 is about creating, expressing, communicating. And when we think about the solar plexus is our intuition. And when we can get into a space of really paying attention to your intuition, that's another way to create and another way to express. And when you open up that channel of energy between you and your intuition, the insight that you gain from that is so amazing. So that's our cosmic energy forecast for today. And I'm inviting you to use the word creativity. And I'm also inviting you to really tap into your solar plexus. Spend some time activating the solar plexus. Another really easy way to activate the solar plexus to get the energy flowing and going, wear something yellow. Wear something yellow, whether it be a yellow t-shirt, yellow top, maybe some yellow polish, which I don't have any on, maybe some yellow socks or some yellow undergarment, or even a beautiful yellow crystal for those of you who like crystals. Citrine is what comes to my mind because it's like a yellowish, whitish, brownish color. And hey, you'd be surprised at what you'll create when you work with citrine energy. You can learn more about crystals at a different time with me if you're interested in learning about them. All you need to do is email me at healingwithin76@gmail.com, and I'll send you a slew of information on different courses that I have that you could definitely learn about crystal healing for your chakras. All right, with all that being said, we're going to take a really quick commercial break. And when I get back, my guest is going to be here with me, and I'm so excited to share her. Now, actually 3 things. A, remember to share, like, and comment on this. B, remember the 2 words I said earlier about goal and dreams? That's going to come to the table in a moment. And C, remember to stay with me the entire show, because those of you who share and stay the entire show, my guest is offering a free gift, but you have to share and stay with us throughout the entire show. And we'll know if you did, because we are Santa's elves, and Santa's always watching. We're watching to see if you're being naughty or nice. So share and stay with me. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Diana Brandt. I'm a business consultant. If you always wanted to be an entrepreneur and you've got these dreams, you no longer have to have them in your head. I help you with the steps. I'm offering a 15-minute complimentary call, and you can reach me at diana.caremore@gmail.com. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hello, are you an entrepreneur, healer, author, publisher, life coach, or living in purpose? I am Reverend Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, the host of Joanne's Healing Within TV show, and I am currently accepting guest applications for those of you who are ready to shine your light, inspire others, and share your story, and step in front of a much larger audience, such as Roku, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube, and of course Facebook. I am currently offering special rates for those of you who are interested in inspiring others and shining your light. Email your bio and story to healingwithin76@gmail.com. Hello and welcome back. And for those of you who are just tuning in with me now, I am your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne. And just in case you're not sure, this is Joanne's Cosmic Energy Radio Show. And today I have an amazing guest coming on shortly. She'll be here in a few minutes, if not sooner. But just want to recap, because you did miss a very small portion of the show earlier, which is important. We're talking about our solar plexus today and trusting your gut intuition, and remembering that as you activate the gut intuition, you're going to also activate your creativity. And your gut intuition is what helps you align yourself to all your dreams and goals. And remember, those are the 2 words I suggested that you hold on to, because it's a major portion of what we're talking about today. So without going any further, I'd like to introduce my amazing guest today, Diana. And Diana, just say your last name, because I know I say it wrong.
Yes, Brandt.
Brandt, yes. And
Diana Brandt, thank you.
Yes. And Diana Brandt is our business consultant for all businesses. Not just small businesses, but all businesses. And I am excited to have you here with us today. And what an amazing topic that you have chosen for today, which is about move out of fear. Move out of fear. And I think moving out of fear for many people can be a challenge. So let's talk about that, moving out of fear.
Yeah, I first want to niche down a little bit. A business consultant, I do primarily work with the small businesses and help them launch, but also with a lot of brick and mortar and some online businesses, just to be a little more specific. So in moving out of fear, I like to put it this way. A lot of us, it's just human nature. We we have an overactive part of our brain that we keep using. And a lot of us, if you don't understand how the brain works, you don't even realize this is what's happening. But all of us have heard about the primitive mind and that fight flight reaction that we can get. And that is primitive in that we had to face predator animals. We were exposed to trying to figure out how we were going to survive, and we adapted. So it's the old brain, and the old brain ties into basically the frontal lobe, prefrontal lobe, and the hemisphere is basically the left and the right. So in the right prefrontal lobe is where we process a lot of what we call negative thinking, but it's actually where our critical thinking is. And that is how we figured out how we were going to survive. None of us want to have, I like to say, a frontal lobotomy, because the negative thinking part of our brain is necessary. It's a yin and a yang. With the left side is where we process all the positive things, and we have our passions and our innovative thoughts, our creativity. It's more euphoric. And so how do we start to calm down that fear? It's and on MRI images, it shows that it's like a muscle that we're working, and if you're working that side all the time, and a lot of people do, it actually gets a little bigger. It's a little more robust. And the other side, in comparison, because a lot of people tend to focus more on their critical thoughts. I don't necessarily want to call them negative, but things that they're worried or concerned about. And they're trying to figure out how to navigate around that. And maybe that's the proactive part. But the positive part of the brain gets underused. So on the MRI, it shows one side, the right side is a little larger than the left. And when people talk about finding their center, or being balanced, there really is a physical correlation to that. And if you go into either visualization, just practicing that, or meditation, which is even, I call it supercharged visualization, it helps to, and they see this, like I said, on the MRI, they can literally see how it starts to balance those two hemispheres out, so that they start to look the same in size.
Yeah,
So
that's extremely interesting and extremely powerful, because again, I know for myself, as an intuitive healer, for me, I believe that I use a good portion of both sides of the brain, the critical thinking, and also the we'll use the word the passion and the desires and the intuition. So it balances out the energy of the two. Whereas again, there's one healer I've worked with for a couple of years, where there is a way that you can actually get to be really balanced, just as Diana had said, where it is about the meditation process and moving into that intuitive state, but also recognizing, as Diana says, the critical state is important as well, because we don't want to be all intuitive and in that woo-woo space and never have that critical understanding to what we call life. Because, yes, we're going to have life-altering decisions to make where it could lead into the fear, but we don't want the fear. I'm assuming we don't want the fear to run our lives. So
right.
when you speak on this whole topic of the fears, what are some of the common causes of fears that people have that actually stop them in their tracks from attaining their dreams?
I think all of us have felt this at one time or another, because we're all humans, so it's part of the human experience. But then we've also maybe seen people in our lives that are close to us, in our immediate family, like our spouse, our siblings, parents, where somebody feels the imposter syndrome, that idea that they're not an expert enough. So who am I? And they're going to discover and find out. And I can't really launch because I don't feel right about it. And so they let this idea of being an imposter stop them in their tracks from really growing and taking on what is really their passion or dream.
Yeah.
The other would be, well, go ahead if you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to cap on that because what that sounds to me is there's a lot of, although we don't want to use the word negative, but there's a lot of negative self-talk going on in their own head in reference to them judging themselves of their value of what they know, and then them telling themselves they can't do it because based on what they feel they don't know.
Right. Right. So then they're stuck in a loop.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say negative. It actually is referred to the negative side of the brain and the prefrontal lobe. So that's okay. It's just a lot of people will say that they're into positive thinking all the time. And it's not really even being honest with themselves because it's not possible. It's like I said,
Exactly.
it's yin and a yang. So it's about trying to maintain positive self-talk because that's going to move us forward and be healthy. So again, linguistics, but not so positive that we're robotics and we're not really feeling humans. And
Exactly.
also able to listen to someone else that's in trouble or having pain in their lives and then putting a label on them and saying that they're just negative.
Exactly.
That's kind of basically a cop out where you just don't want to take the time with that person, which is sad.
Exactly. It also brings awareness too, because again, the whole concept between that state of positive and negative is having the awareness that perhaps you are having a negative thought and allowing yourself to be in that feeling of the negative thought,
Right. Yeah,
and
you
then
want
having
to
the
feel it.
awareness to shift it, which is
Yeah.
helpful.
Yes. And I mean, this is kind of another topic that I just will say in addressing what you just brought up is if people cut themselves off from their feelings, psychologists will say, I mean, a number one reason why a lot of people will go and see a therapist is because they've disconnected from their feelings. They've been bottling it so much and stuffing it, they don't know how to feel it. And so it's really important to let yourself feel these things and not feel guilty if you're having some negative thoughts. Just let it pass. It's normal.
Yes. And to even cap on that, which is a really important insight, is that when one does bottle their emotions, eventually, from my experience of being a healer and work with many, is eventually those emotions are going to explode upward. And then
Yes.
you get caught up with all these emotions that you don't know what to do with. And that
Yes.
itself is going to create more fears because it's like overwhelm of like, why is it showing up? And let's push it down. And there gets to a point in the person's life where you really can't push it down anymore. And you really have to experience whatever's showing up.
Right. And there are some people, I have a close family member who's suffering from depression and suicidal thoughts. And this is in real time right now. This is where he's at. And none of us are actually able to reach him very well. And that is unfortunate. A person has to feel like they have the ability to express those thoughts and have the support there. And I don't know why he's very closed off, but I think we've lost a lot of people because they feel cut off. Like, I'm not being so positive. I can't be in touch with that right now. And nobody can relate to me. And then they decide that they have no purpose and they take their lives, which is
Exactly.
a real thing. And it's,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And I want to, in reference to that, I'd like to share based on someone who her herself is was diagnosed clinically depressed. And she herself said this comment, which was she has chosen many times to attempt to take her own life
Oh,
and realized that if she were to decide to take her own life today, she'd have to eventually be reincarnated to come back and do the things that she's not choosing to do in this lifetime. So maybe it's probably a good idea to sort of hang on and push through.
Yeah.
And for those who are viewing our show today, recognizing that each and every one of us here on earth are holding space for anyone who's experiencing this space of not feeling heard and not feeling supported. And at any time, and I'm extending this out for anyone who needs it, anytime you need a ear for you to speak, all you need to do is reach out to me on my email, which is healingwithin76@gmail.com. My phone is on 24/7. I'd rather know that you picked up the phone, emailed me, we get on a call, as opposed to deciding it was the end. So you are never alone. I hold space for you and I shine light for you so you can see that light eventually yourself. So with that said, Diana.
I have a border collie on my sofa with me. So
You have a what? I'm sorry?
I have a border collie next to me, and I hope you can't hear him, but it's okay, honey. I just want to make sure that our sound quality is good because he's getting a little crazy with the licking.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So in reference to how can a person actually move out of their fear?
Okay. So a lot of us are familiar with visualization techniques. And then some people, that's a whole new idea as well. And there are some coaches, maybe some consultants that are also leading people in creating vision boards. Maybe you've done a vision board with people.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. But this is the thing. Those are great. And it's great to be able to have a vision board where you can look at it every day and say some affirmations around the passion or the dream that you have so that it keeps you going. But the other thing that I like to say it's a supercharged visualization is meditation. And why is that? Well, it's because it's meditation. A lot of people don't realize this. It moves your brain waves into different states. And we all start for a waking state, which is our baseline, is beta. So the beta wave, that's where we are right now. If we want to actually get into meditation, which happens with hypnosis as well, you then go into a alpha state. Now, most people stay in alpha, even when they've been meditating for years. Most of us end up there. There's like a little ceiling. It's a veneer, but a lot of people can't break through it, and that's when you go into theta. And that theta state, the reason why there's a veneer there is it's our subconscious mind. When you get into theta, you're actually getting connected with your subconscious. And so it's a deeper trance state. And that subconscious mind will actually keep you in alpha if it can. You'll sense kind of like, I can't actually go there. And you'll throw yourself out of the meditation. So
it's almost as though it's like their safety net from moving to the next level to what they need to do.
The subconscious mind doesn't actually want to reveal a lot of itself. So
exactly.
It's a protective mechanism, but if you stick it out and really, it's a form of relaxing your mind. So as you move into a trance state, a lot of people think, I can't meditate. There are people typically that are so consumed with their day and what they're doing in their day and keeping busy. They tend to be people that don't want to sit down to take enough time to actually listen to their own thoughts. And they purposely don't want to listen. Meditation will have you actually listening to your thoughts. And so if that's a scary thing, there's nothing magical about it. You just need to practice. And a lot of people don't understand that too. It's a daily practice when you meditate.
Yes, that it definitely is a daily practice. And again, just for our viewers, so they don't get all caught up in like, oh my God, I got to do this practice and a long term. Like for myself, my own experience, whether I want to meditate for 5 minutes a day, or if I want to go really deep into it and do it for as long as I want to, from my point of view, it doesn't matter how long one meditates. The concept is they meditate and they do it on a daily practice.
Right.
And they'll gain the same benefits of someone who chooses to meditate for hours at a time. I mean, there are people who I know that literally live in what we call a meditative state, where they're constantly, even in their waking world, they're in a meditative state because they're always connecting to their higher self and having that connection of their spirit guides, as I like to call. Now, do you find that for yourself?
Yeah, I will tell you this, that there's all different types of meditations. There's quiet meditation, there's sound meditation, there's chant meditation, there's breathing meditation, which is through yoga practice. A long list of different types, and it doesn't matter. You can just pick one and try 5 minutes. It's finding a space in your place that you can create a sanctuary for yourself to retreat to. It could be indoor, it could be outdoor. And if you are just starting to get comfortable with taking quiet time for yourself because you've always been busy, 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 just take even 3 minutes to just sit down and relax. That's the first part. If you can incrementally increase that to 10 minutes, ideally to 15. I do a 15-minute meditation in the morning, right when I get up. I've got the water or a tea and the meditation, and that's all before breakfast. And it really works. And the reason why it works is because you visualize what you want to make real. And I see it as when you go into a meditative state, you're a time traveler. We're all time travelers, but it makes it even more real that we're traveling through time and we're able to grab on to the things that are important to us. It slows you down and it helps you focus so that each day is a new day. It's a completely clean slate going out into your day, and we can only do the best that we can do in one day. So don't carry it over into another day. And the way you release it is through meditation after dinner before bed. And that for me is a longer meditation. I usually do it 20 to 30 minutes.
Yes, I love your practice. And I too have a daily practice as well. Mine is more of a chakra balance meditation where I really tune into my chakras. My goal is to open them up so I can again begin my insights on what my day is going to look like, making sure my chakra system is flowing. So there's nothing that's going to slow me down. Right. So I can be as productive as I visualize myself to be. One of the things I always share with my clients and those who are listening is we have total control of what we are creating. And I truly believe if there's something we are creating that we don't want, change your thought.
Right.
Change your thought. Because again, we are the master of what it is we have in our reality. And that reality can start right from, as Diana is saying, is through meditation. First thing in the morning, visualize what it is you like your day to be. What goals you want to accomplish. And at the end of your day, evaluate, did you do the things that you set out to do? And
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, some people are caught in this cycle of the overuse of the negative mind, like I mentioned earlier, where they're highly critical and always complaining. And they're never in a position to actually be objective and stand back and be grateful. And
now, can you provide a tip or two on how one can possibly clear that energy so they can step into a space of gratitude? What would be one of your ways of doing that? Because I'm sure we all have different ways, but if you could share with those who've never experienced and who are the ones who do the complaining and the negativity and all they see is like all this darkness.
And sometimes they're not even aware that they're doing it. I have, again, another family member that it doesn't matter. She's not in that space yet where she can see the behavior and realize that it's hurting her. But if you are in a place where you realize this and you're more objective and you can stand back and see how you are, then the best step would be to start with, like I mentioned, creating a sanctuary space in your home, whether it be indoor or outdoor, where it's just for you. It's your space. And I know there's that popularity where it became popular for people to say, oh, we're creating a man cave for the husband. Well, it could be a man cave, whether you're a woman or a man. Just create your own little space. With all the things that make you happy. If you enjoy flowers, make sure you have fresh flowers there. Certain types of fabrics that make you happy and certain colors, start there. And then begin with the meditation and pick something that you enjoy. So if you don't find that you're connecting with meditating, then journal. Get a journal or record your voice saying these things that you want to attain and then re-listen to those words coming from yourself, because that actually goes into your subconscious. And so that's another way to bypass it if you feel like meditation isn't really happening for you. So those are some starts that you can try.
Yes, and there are interesting thoughts too. And I think too, for those who are not aware that they are in a negative state and how to help them become more aware is just recognizing again what their life is like. So if again their life is not the way they want it to be, they do have the ability to change their thoughts by creating the life they want. Yeah. So if one is constantly in that space of constantly complaining about, well, I can't stand my job. Well, what would you like to do differently so you can enjoy your job? And sometimes that could be a challenging question because it might lead into making some major changes in one's life when you don't like your job.
Right.
No, so yes. So my next question for you is, if a person feels like meditation isn't working for them, what else can they implement?
I guess I kind of jumped ahead on that. So I mentioned that they can journal. They could record their voice while they're talking about the dreams that they've never been able to attain, but they want to make real in their life. So just record yourself talking about them specifically and then re-listen to that in your sacred space that you've created. The other thing is that you can do that on a walk. Take a nice half-mile to mile walk and listen to yourself saying these things.
Yes.
And that's another way to do it.
Yes. And I think to add on to that, when we use the word meditation, I mean, for you and I, it's a very powerful word. But for those who they feel that they can't relate to it and they don't think they can do it or it doesn't work for them, I think in theory, anytime anyone is just sitting, and it doesn't have to be a sitting activity, they could be standing and doing dishes. And they start to like zoom out of their regular everyday thinking and they just find themselves into the space of imagination.
Right.
That itself is another way to meditate. So if perhaps just taking the word meditation out of the equation and allowing yourself to be in a space where you can just be,
right,
without doing anything. And again, washing the dishes. Most of us who wash dishes, it doesn't require a whole lot of thought process to it. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of thought to say, okay, I'm going to put the sponge to the dish and wash it. It's like, It's an automatic thing. So you could just really be in that space, because if you have more than one dish to wash, just to allow that your mind to flow.
Yeah.
And the same concept, the shower, because
Yeah.
we all take showers, and you could, again, just allow the mind just to let you go wherever you want to go.
And you do go into a trance state. I was going to mention that there's nothing magical about going into a trance state. We are in and out of trances throughout our day, our waking time. When you get in the car and you know where you're going, and then it's as if you can't remember how you took all your turns to get to that space, but now you're there, it's because you were in a trance. But you were very aware of everything that you were doing. So that's why I say you're not losing control when you go into that's you've entered alpha.
Yes.
And it's an alpha trance. It's a light trance. And so when you're doing those kinds of activities where you're either cooking or washing dishes or taking a shower, you have entered an alpha state.
Yes. And for me, I love the word magical. So
But a
to
lot
me,
of people, they'll ask me that. They'll say, oh, meditation, it sounds like it's something magical, and I just don't know how to do it. And I'm thinking, it's not really. It's something that happens to us daily, actually.
oh yeah, yes. And I think for those who are referring to it as, well, meditation is something magical and I don't know how to do it,
Mm-hmm.
it can be magical, but it doesn't have to be in reference to the thing that keeps you from doing it.
Right. Well, it definitely has a magical feeling once you've tapped into it. And when
Exactly.
you realize that you are doing it and it's working.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I would say, more often than none, many of us are probably doing more meditation than we even realize we're doing, and we're just not aware of it. Because theoretically, even when we're sleeping, we go into a meditative state, because of our mind is probably the one and only time in our day where we are literally in no control of what we are thinking about, because our mind just expands. And it's a great time, especially now in the time that we're in this world, where many of us are being woken at such different times in the evening, such as between the hours of, or morning rather, between the hours of like 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. And when we're being woken for just a short period of time, there's science to prove that basically we are receiving downloads, and that our consciousness and our intuitiveness is being awakened at that time, where we're receiving all this information. And that when we wake up knowing things that we didn't know the day before. And that's, again, because we have this ability where we're allowing ourselves to be open, where we're not realizing it. We're more vulnerable and able to receive these amazing insights that we get at night. And then we wake up the next day. What's that?
When you're dreaming, in your mind, you go into the dream state. Your mind is relaxing, and now this isn't science. They'll say it's kind of a mental download, and sometimes it's a carryover from the day before, and your mind's just downloading all this information. And some of this information is stuff that you maybe didn't even realize you picked up until you kind of can recognize it in your dream.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
I think the key component, which I think you said earlier on in the show, for many people do not like to quiet themselves down and be still, for whatever the reasons are, where they're afraid to hear that internal voice or those internal messages, for whatever the reasons are. But when we allow ourselves that moment of, I like to call a moment of grace, it's amazing on the things that we do receive when we allow that to happen. And
yes.
Each and every one of us has the ability to do that.
Can I tell you a short little story?
Sure.
Short. My maternal grandmother, she had lost her first child was miscarriage, and then her son had I'm trying to think, my uncle, I think it was a leukemia. He was very athletic. He was a professional surfer in Surfer magazine, and at the age of 25 he passed away. And my grandmother, she kept herself busy all the time. So it's really close to me, this idea of busyness. And she literally would always have her keys in her hand, holding and rattling them. And she would continue working throughout the whole day into the night with the cooking and the cleaning. And it was kind of this heightened anxiety, really. And I asked her, I probably was about 12, why do you always go, 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 and you never, she said, because I don't want to sit with my thoughts.
Yes.
That was her response.
Yeah. And interesting enough that she was smart enough to know the answer.
Yeah, she said it's too painful.
Yeah. And there's many people who don't want to sit with their thoughts, but yet they want the wisdom.
Right.
So again, it's one of those things, it's that balance between like, okay, if you want the wisdom, you have to be willing to sit quietly to receive the wisdom. Because as humans, we're really, really good at going to Google and researching the answer, or we're really good at calling our best friend and saying, so what do you think about this? What do you think I should do? We're really good at doing that. But when it really comes down to it, everything we have a question about, if we were just to be still and listen, those answers come within because we have all the answers we need.
We do. I probably could find this. There's something, and it's science again about the brain and how it works and how we're very capable. There's a lot that we're just already born with knowing. It's there.
Yes. Exactly. Like there's this expression, actually a term, and I don't remember the term, but something about whatever it is we need to know, we already know. And whatever it is we're looking to create was meant for us to create. It's just a matter of coming out of our own way so we can, as you said earlier in the show, we can step into feeling worthy enough of having it. Because again, it's just the negative self-talk that we constantly experience with ourselves of either not thinking we're good enough to have it or thinking people are going to judge us if we do have it.
Right.
So you have that list.
I didn't get to work through that list. You were saying, what kinds of fears, and you just named them. But some people get too concerned about what others think. Well, what are they going to think of me? Because they've been in a state of always pleasing and wanting to please, but not thinking in terms of what they can do to please themselves first.
Exactly.
And moving through, basically, putting yourself first is not always a selfish thing. You really need to, it's called self-love. So.
Yes, that's why it's called self-love. When we think about the whole process of self-love, again, as humans, we're really, really good at expecting to receive love from somebody else.
Right.
But we're not really, really good at expecting to receive love from ourselves.
Right. And when you quiet the mind and you listen to your own thoughts, that's where you start to discover yourself and start to be able to nurture and love yourself.
Exactly. In fact, I actually read a quote this morning. Mm-hmm. When you fill yourself up with love, you never look for love from somebody else again.
Right.
Because you're so filled with it yourself that you're not looking for it from someplace else. It's not saying that you're not going to receive love, but it's not the thing you're looking for anymore.
And that's the other thing about human nature. People pick that up when you're in self-love. You're more attractive.
Yes.
People, they're attracted to that, and they want to know, what is she having? I want what she's having. Just
exactly.
Like
that. And then you also draw it in, because when there is a self-love component, you're going to draw that love in every area of your life, which is why they always say the most potent time to be in a relationship is when you're in a relationship with yourself.
Right.
That's the most potent time. So for all of our viewers who might be sitting back and constantly, trying to figure out the magic the magic trick to being in a perfect relationship. That magic trick is about being in a perfect relationship with self. And once
Right.
you have that, then it's a domino effect. You'll attract your perfect relationship because you're in it with yourself.
Yeah.
So it's very powerful. It's very powerful. I'm loving this whole concept on how it really all comes in a sense of meditation and teaching people the whole process of moving out of fear, because we all have fear.
Right.
And it's not about, not one time did Diana say, well, pretend like the fear doesn't exist.
It's part of the human condition.
Exactly.
There's a whole spectrum of human conditions that we all share. And
exactly.
it activates different emotions from us.
Exactly. And sometimes our fear could be the one thing that helps us to fuel the thing we need to do.
Exactly.
So it's really important, really important. So again, in regards to when we think about fear and those struggling with their fears and they're not quite sure how to like move through it. Do you have like one tip that you could share with them that we have not already spoken about regarding moving through that fear and moving into the meditation practice?
Well, I can tell you what a therapist will call it some coping skills. When we're brought up with our parents or a grandparent or even in foster care, we're given a certain amount of coping skills that we learn from the people that are older than us, and we just naturally model after them, even if maybe they're not the best model. So for coping, I think you maybe have heard of this. In different areas of the world, they like to use beads. They're called
Yes.
worry.
Yes.
And you get these beads and you just rub on them and move them through your fingers, and you sit and you just basically release the worry. And it's an activity, so it takes your mind, kind of moves it towards the activity of your fingers moving, and then you're able to release some of those negative feelings or concerns, worries.
Yeah. Yes. And some actually call it, besides worry beads, some call it prayer beads as well. That they actually, that they actually hold on to them as they're in prayer.
Yes.
And I mean, I've worked with some healers that when they use their beads, it's not only about the worry and the prayer, but they also take it and they'll actually touch each bead and reciting an affirmation with the bead until they get to the complete end of it. So again, it's that re-stimulating the brain of something positive and the action of what their fingers are doing. Because again, as humans, we're really good at being busy.
That's true.
We all get 100 plus when it comes to being busy. And as long as our fingers are moving, it keeps us busy. But it also allows us to be focused in on one thought as the fingers are moving. So it could be a really helpful tool.
I think so.
Yes.
The other thing is to just sit with your feet on the floor and your hands on top of your upper thigh, not in your lap, but on top, flat, and just think about the things that are concerning you and then come up with a solution so that you can release them.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I used to, with some of my clients, I used to have this tool, I'll use the word homework. Whereas when one constantly complains about something, I suggest two things. You have two choices when you're complaining. Evaluate the complaint and ask yourself, first of all, is this complaint mine? Does it belong to me? If the answer is yes, what are you willing to do with it to change it?
Mm-hmm.
And if for whatever the reasons are, that individual is not looking to change it at that moment, then they need to stop complaining about it. That's choice one.
I like that.
Choice two, if they are ready to make the change, then they need to take set up an action plan and change it. And those are the only two choices they have in regards to their complaining. Otherwise, if you're not looking to do choice A or B, then my suggestion is, and I say it as nicely as I can, I don't want to hear you complaining anymore.
Exactly, because you're not willing to do anything about it.
Exactly. If you're going to complain about the same thing over and over and over again, my tolerance level comes to a point where I don't want to be a part of that conversation.
And that's because it becomes energy draining.
Exactly.
You might be actually open to helping this person, and then if it's just a constant cycle of the same thing and they're not moving forward by taking any action on any of it, then you have to say goodbye.
Exactly.
Because, yeah.
Exactly. So what I'd like for you to do, a couple of things for me. Let the viewers know how they can reach you.
Okay, so I like directness, and I think the best way is through private message. So you can just go into my Facebook Messenger and reach me there, or you can go through my email. It's basically diana.caremore@gmail.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes, because we like to take for granted that everybody's on Facebook, but not everybody is. So having that email address is very helpful because you don't want to miss out on those clients who aren't on Facebook that's looking to reach out to you. Now, as I said to our viewers earlier on, that you have a special gift for those who shared and who stayed with us throughout the entire show. Let them know what that gift is.
Okay, so the gift, usually I give a complimentary 15 minutes, and this time, actually, it started after Thanksgiving. It's a complimentary 20-minute call, and from that, you generate from the call, I listen very carefully, a business assessment, which I have as your blueprint plan. And that is something that you will be able to use when you start 2021. And there is no upsell in this call. It's me basically listening to you carefully about what it is that you want to attain in your life and how you can move forward, figuring out those steps. And then I create this one-page business assessment blueprint, and you get that in your email, and you're able to use that and get going.
That is a gorgeous and definitely useful gift for anybody to receive. And again, all of our viewers, as long as you shared and you've been with us from the moment that I started chatting, you're going to receive that gift. So with that being said, our time together, Diana, is always awesome and goes so fast because it just seems like once we start going, it's like, wow, the time is done. And we're at our end, but I am sure that I'm going to have you back on, whether it's here on my radio show or on my TV show in 2021 for you to share more of what you're doing because you have so much to share. So I do look forward to having you back. But meanwhile, thank you so much for sharing all your insight on how one can move out of fear and how many can step into their meditation practice. So I thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
I also want to thank my viewers, our viewers, whether you're listening, watching, whatever it is. Thank you. And know that we're on Roku, so you can catch us there, and you can also catch us on the YouTube channel. And I will see you the second Wednesday in January. Bye-bye for now.